Welcome to another Tweedy Pubs video. Probably one of my favourite pubs of all time, the Harrow Inn in Steep near Petersfield in Hampshire. The approach to the Harrow Inn is down this lovely leafy country lane that heads out of Petersfield. I would say it's about a 20-minute walk, perhaps slightly longer, from Petersfield station. Not really signposted. The road is technically a dead end because it's now cut off by the A3 further down. The only clue that you're on the right track is a signpost back there reading Harrow Lane. I have briefly featured this in an old video, but I don't really think it did it justice, and I was spurred on to come back here with the recent wildly successful, to my surprise, video about Ploughman's lunches. To start with, I've gone for a pint of cider. I forgot the name. I'll put that on the screen down there. It's a local cider, the Ploughman's lunch here. I think this is an exercise in beautiful simplicity. Decent chunk of cheddar there. Hopefully you can get a sense of the scale of that. Two large hunks from a farmhouse loaf. I believe this is locally baked. A wonderful slab of butter, still with the foil from the packaging on around the outside. Some chutney that I think may be homemade. Really tangy, slightly spicy. The salad, simple affair, a few bits of lettuce, a few bits of cucumber, and a tomato. I think this is just perfection. It's simple, it's beautiful. They do a few different variations as well here at the Harrow. Probably see the menu there. Very traditional English farmhouse loaf. It's not like your trendy modern sourdough stuff. It's not a baguette, it's not a ciabatta. Very traditional English bread, and it's beautiful. Sort of light, fluffy, slight sort of sponginess to it almost. Really delicious. Oh, the cider's so good. I'm in heaven. It's proving a little bit difficult to record any voicey bits here at the Harrow because everyone is so friendly. I've had lots of conversations with other customers and the staff here, particularly Claire, one of the two landladies, and the chap behind the bar as well, and everyone is rightfully brimming with enthusiasm about this pub, and they want to talk about it because this is an incredibly special place, in my opinion. Let me try and explain to you why I think the Harrow Inn is so special. Spectacularly unspoilt. By all accounts, the interior that we see today is largely unchanged from quite possibly a century ago. I think we have the current family that own the place to thank for that. The current landladies are Claire and Nisa, and they're part of a family going back to, I believe, 1932, so they're getting close to a century of continuity of this pub. It's tiny on the inside. There are just two bar rooms. The public bar room, I think, has the most character, both of them beautiful in their own way. It's dominated on the left-hand side by this large inglenook fireplace, and I believe there are just two tables in this space. All tables inside the Harrow Inn are designed for sharing. Very convivial atmosphere. It has tiled flooring, low-hanging beams overhead, always decorated in a very natural, beautiful, sensitive way. I think some old prints of some of the Harrow's history on the wall. The bar counter, if we can call it that, is a very short little opening into the servery area behind a very simple rustic traditional serving hatch, and that's quite a special and unique feature. There certainly isn't a long line of hand pumps and all the other paraphernalia we see in more modern pubs. The beer is all served from stillage behind the bar, served straight from the barrel by gravity. I started out with that cider, which was really spectacular, so appley and full of flavour and wonderfully traditional. I then moved on to a pint of Double Drop, which is a slightly darker beer. I'm now on, really embarrassed, another beer I've forgotten the name of. Put it on the screen. There is a second bar room that oddly has a label on the door outside saying smoking room, slightly ironically with a sign immediately above it saying no smoking. So, traditionally, presumably that was the smoking room. I think of this more as a sort of lounge bar, but perhaps for whatever reason they've never liked that particular term. It's usually a bit quieter in there, not the first place that tends to fill up in the pub. You could say possibly a bit more homely. That also has just a very simple hatch through to the servery behind. So what else makes the Harrow special? Has some very nice outside space. There is a seating area immediately in front of the pub, which is usually the first place that I go to when sitting outside, but there's also a very nice cottagey feel to the garden off to one side. Caught this at a good time of year, I think, some really nice flowers in bloom. Out the front of that main area, there is a stall which usually sells a whole mixture of local produce. There are some cut flowers on one table, and another table also today was selling cucumbers and courgettes. Also, another famous feature of the Harrow is the outside toilets. There is something oddly special about outdoor toilets, in my opinion. I don't know if you can get a sense of how wonderfully al fresco this is. I had a very interesting conversation with a customer here, Alistair, about the involvement of his parents and Alec Guinness in preserving the pub. Thank you very much to Alistair for sharing this artefact of that campaign, a letter from Sir Alec to, I think, the local planning committee. This was in 1977, and although a member of the family who still run it today was licensee, the freehold was owned by Whitbread Brewery at that time. Today, happily, the family own the pub outright. The brewery had planned to make drastic alterations, including, heaven forbid, indoor toilets. Thanks to the intervention of Alec Guinness and Alistair's parents, the plans were rejected, and so, nearly 50 years on, we can still enjoy the pub as Sir Alec would have known it. Hopefully I've waxed lyrical enough to convince you that this is one of the most precious, most special pubs that exists. Cheers to the Harrow, an exceptionally, in my opinion, beautiful pub. Long may it remain the same. Cheers.